Hello and welcome to episode 195 of Dark and Stormy Book Club. Today we talk with Yasmin Angoe. Enjoy.
I'm Ann Dark.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
If you enjoy our show, please consider contributing to the Dark and Stormy Patreon. By becoming a patron, you will help us create better and quality content. There are also benefits to becoming a patron, such as exclusive content and Dark and Stormy merchandise. Become a supporter at patreon.com/darkandstormybc. Check our website for the link. We appreciate any and all contributions. Thank you.
Her Name is Knight by Yasmin Angoe is published by Thomas Mercer, and it came out November 1st of this year. Stolen from her Ghanaian village as a child, Nena Knight has plenty of motives to kill. Now an elite assassin for a powerful business syndicate called the Tribe, she gets plenty of chances. But while on assignment in Miami, Nena ends up saving a life, not taking one. She emerges from the experience a changed woman, finally hopeful for a life beyond rage and revenge. Tasked with killing a man she's come to respect, Nena struggles to reconcile her loyalty to the Tribe with her new purpose. Meanwhile, she learns a new tribe council member is the same man who raised her village, murdered her family, and sold her into captivity. Nena can't resist the temptation of vengeance, and she doesn't want to. Before she can reclaim her life, she must leverage everything she was and everything she is to take him down and end the cycle of bloodshed for good. We would like to welcome Yasmin Angoe to the program. She has a fascinating thriller out. Her Name is Knight. Welcome, Yasmin.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
This book was, I don't want to say kick ass because I say that.
But I'm okay with that because I like that.
And she absolutely was. There is probably no better words.
What I got from the book, now maybe I'm wrong, but underlying all that kick-ass and the action and the revenge and the Nena wanted to belong. Did I get that right?
She definitely did. She wanted to belong to something that was pure again, that she had lost back in her village. And yes, she definitely, it's belonging, it's family. There's a lot of deeper things, some layers up in there that I tried to put, it's not a typical thriller. I don't want to sound all like whatever, but
it had action from the minute you started reading it. And it started in Nigeria, and then it came to the U.S. It was...
What gave you the idea for this book?
I have always been a lover of that genre to begin with. That's what I read and watch the most is action thrillers. I love Mission Impossible and John Wick and Jason Bourne, Jack Reacher, all of those. I read so much James Patterson and all of those authors. I had originally written a women's fiction that I love, and one day I'll look at it again. But about the time that I started thinking about this story, I was like, I really want to try my hand at writing in the genre that I really, really find fascinating and most entertaining. And not only that, I want to write about a woman because I love writing about women in darker situations. So I wanted to write about a woman because I'm always going to center it around a woman, but I wanted her to be in this space that you normally see like men in these spaces, doing these things and being so driven with her job and so focused and being able to compartmentalize and be just as good, if not better than them. And I also wanted to write about like my culture because my parents come from Ghana. So I wanted to highlight that culture in a story. I said I was going to write now and really highlight my culture because I wanted readers to see Ghanaians, Africans, people of the diaspora in these different spaces. And that's really what kind of sparked it off. Let me write this story about this woman who is from where my family is from and who's doing all these things like the guys, but like better. One person that really hit it home for me is Ginger Rogers. You know, I love Ginger Rogers. And I used to grow up on her movies and would watch her and Fred Astaire. And my stepmother loved those like black and white. I loved Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. And so she had this quote that she said, you know, I can do anything the men can do, only backwards and in heels or in a dress. And that's my character. Do you know what I mean? So,
oh, I like that.
Yes. And so that is the thing. That is how I knew. I was like, I'm definitely doing this for my character. She is going to be the Ginger Rogers of assassin action kind of things.
The only thing she didn't do was dance.
Exactly. But she can cut a rug though, but probably not as good as Ginger Rogers. So that was my thinking when I was writing Nena.
She goes from being a princess to being a slave, being homeless, to being member of a family. It's really a compelling story. The horrors that she had to go through to get where she is in the end, it just fascinated me. I just loved every minute of it. Will this be a series? Are you going to continue her story?
I hope so. Book 2 is a sequel, and so I hope to prolong it more because I think there is just so much that could be said about Nena and Nena's world and the people that she surrounds herself with. I tried to make her characters just as fun, and anybody can have a story centered around them because they all have fascinating stories to me. So I really love her world and the people, her found family, because this story is also at the root is about family, is about relationship within the family. So the families that you're born into, the families that adopt you, that choose you, and then the families that we all end up choosing, our own tribes, that we go and find the people who we want to be in our tribes, whether it be our spouse or friends. And I think that her tribe that she has now is like really cool. And she's got a lot of things to experience now that she's in a place where maybe she can be a little bit more open to things after what she's been through. So hopefully, yeah.
Another book that I would be interested in reading is a prequel to expand upon some of these things you talk about in the book.
She just has this perfect life in this little village. And then it all genocide and patricide. And
have you been over there?
Yes, I've been there. I've lived there for a couple of years when I was very young.
Goodness.
My grandmother, while my parents finished school here. And then I went back again a few years later with my dad. Her village is really idyllic, right? And it's beautiful. It's on a mountain that my aunt currently lives on right now, Aburi Mountain. So she lives there. And my mom just visited maybe a couple of years ago. My mom is really my big research person because I go to her, I went to her for the language, and she's also my storyteller. So she told me all these stories about my dad after he had passed. And even during the years, one of the stories that she told was about the village that he came from, which the village isn't there anymore. It kind of assimilated into a bigger town. And so it's not as it was when he was younger, and how his family was pretty prominent in that village. And so that's kind of where that whole like princess spun off of, if that makes any sense. So very much the stories that my mom told me, that cultural aspect, all of those you'll see in the kind of life that Anime had back when she was 14 before she became Nena.
Very nice.
Good. Your family didn't go through the genocide or things like that?
No. Yeah, no, that was all fiction. And it was all just a different way of me writing through some things that I was dealing with internally, dealing with my dad's death and family, and thinking about my relationship that I had with him. He was a fantastic father. And that was my way of, like my diary entries in a way, but fictional.
Looking through your bio, I'm curious about, it says you're an instructional coach for virtual teachers, and plus you've been a teacher yourself. What do you think the challenges are that teachers are going through being virtual teachers?
It's super hard. So when I was a teacher and I taught for over 10 years, I taught in a brick and mortar school before it was really big to have virtual schools, definitely before the pandemic. I enjoy being in the classroom and having that setting. And then when I left to become the instructional coach and work with our virtual teachers on instructional strategies that they can use in their classroom, I felt like that's a great avenue to really reach a bigger demographic of students, because in one class, they could have students from all parts of South Carolina, rather than when you're working at a district, you only have the students that are in that district. So it kind of opens you up. It kind of gives you and the other students a chance to really get to know each other across the state. But it's also difficult too, because you have to really invent ways to have that personal connection with students that you don't see face to face and deal with face to face. Those are the challenges I think that teachers will face today in the virtual setting, is creating that community that you would have in a face-to-face setting, being able to create that in a virtual setting, and being able to have the students really engage the way that they would engage if they were right there. Because you know how people are different on camera and, virtually than they are in a personal setting. So I think those are the challenges that they deal with the most.
I am very grateful that my children are older and I didn't have to go through that. I have a son who has Asperger's, and I just can't even imagine what it would have been like for him to go through this past year and a half.
Very difficult. And so definitely now in the education field, everybody is feeling the effects of having the students home for a whole entire year. We've got to catch up on any kind of learning gap and discipline. They've got to relearn how to be in a community of other people instead of in their own little world. And also they're burnt out. They have some, not only them, but the teachers too. Everybody is tired and hasn't had a chance to take a breath from what they've gone through last year. So it's a lot for everyone. And hopefully we're giving each other grace. The teachers are giving the students grace, and we're hoping that parents, guardians, and the students are also giving teachers grace, because
Absolutely.
It is hard. It's very hard.
I'm hoping this is true. Is the character of Delphine or Noble based on a real person?
Noble is based on 3 different people, and those would be my dad. Also, when he passed, there were 2 other men, my father-in-law, Charles Hedges, and then my husband's uncle, who just passed recently, Michael McClinton. All 3 of them were father figures to me. And so I combined my relationship that I have with all of them to make this one Noble. I even used my uncle, Michael. His name is Aninye's dad's name. So I definitely wanted to honor the relationship between fathers and their children, fathers and their daughters, especially because that's something that I have experienced and so thankful for. Delphine, she's not really based on anyone in particular, but she just came into her own. I don't know what it is. I just really wanted this really fancy lady who just totally understood everything that needed to be done for her family and had this rock hard protective stance with everyone who's in her family. But she also knows when to let them do their thing. And she does that with Noble, and she does that with her daughter, Eileen, and then also with Nena too. I just wanted her just really step into that role and take Nena, or Anine at that time, in when she knew. She just seems to know when it is time for her to step in and be that person for her family. And so she was able to do that when she brought Anine in, and she's able to do that quite often.
Well, if there is a Delphine and Noble out there and want to adopt somebody, I'm ready.
I know that's right.
I would. They were fantastic characters. Your character development was just flawless. You had me shivering with Echo in the box and sweating